So last week I got back from a really memorable trip to Western Sahara and Morocco. Western Sahara is de facto Morocco, but anyway, I took some video clips and just wanted to share them. So this is a bar-tailed lark. That was a new bird for me, one of several larks of the desert that were encountered. We went out to stay in this really remote camp, not much life around, but there were vulvus chatterers. There was this family, another lifer. So they're a cooperative breeding species. They help each other out nesting. In the evening, we went out on quite long night drives, spotlighting. One of the highlights was African golden wolf. Here's one sort of running alongside the car. This used to be considered just a form of golden jackal, but it's been realised through genetic studies that it's more like a wolf, and it derived from hybridization between wolves and jackals. And in contrast to that high-octane encounter, we had this fennec fox, almost looking kind of Yoda-like in his expression, just sitting there. And then quite a common bird, we encountered a lot of hoopoo larks, but I always wanted to see one of these. Quite an eerie song out in the desert, absolutely beautiful, unique looking bird. And here's its displays flight, where it flips up and then glides down like a paper plane. Absolutely really cool. Desert sparrow, another new bird, looking like they're made out of marble. And then our night drives did throw up some cool bird sightings as well as mammals. So I'd seen cream-coloured corsair once before in Herefordshire. This is the adult on the left, but really cool to see them where they're meant to be in the desert. So yeah, we caught the eye shine, and then they were pretty fearless after that, just doing their thing, chilling out on the sand. Adult on the left and a couple of young. And then Sudan golden sparrow, a pretty widespread bird, a little further south in Africa, but in terms of the Western Palearctic, which is Europe, North Africa and the Middle East, for those of you who might not know. It's only a bird that's become available, so to speak, in the last few years in Western Sahara. Cricket longtail is another special bird out in Western Sahara. It's a type of cisticola, a kind of warbler-like bird. We found a nice little family group, but they were quite difficult to keep up with. And then another one of the larks. So this is black-crowned sparrow lark, named because it is a little bit like a mix between a sparrow and a lark, but it is a lark. That's the male with the black on the head and on the belly, being followed around by a juvenile. Ignore the gull in the background. And then this is Dunn's lark. So this was once a species that is found across Africa and across the Arabian Peninsula, but they've split those populations now. So the African population is Dunn's lark, quite subtle but quite a pretty bird. And then less subtle but a little bit more distant is thick-billed lark. We had some distant flight views, and then it was really cool to actually be able to watch these two feeding for a while. Really quite a different lark with all that black smudging around the face and breast, and as its name suggests, a really thick bill. And then the first of two new owls for me. This is Pharaoh eagle owl, which is like the desert version of the eagle owl. It's a bit smaller, and this was sitting on 2 billion-year-old basalt, some of the oldest rock that you can find on Earth. And the sand viper on the way back, we almost stepped on it, Ed and I, and then Cam actually spotted it, and we saw it before it descended itself into the sand. We didn't find the sand cat in Western Sahara, but we had a consolation prize of some sightings of African wildcat, which shares a common ancestor, is the closest relative to domestic cats. And yeah, it was time to start driving back to Dakar at this point. We just fitted in a little bit of extra birding. This is just a juvenile Thekla lark. You can find these in southern Europe, good for use. And similarly, this was my best ever encounter with stone curlews. So you can find these in Britain. They're not very common, but I've never been this close to a stone curlew. And then a highlight at the end for me was seeing a marsh owl. This is probably my most wanted bird in the Western Palearctic, so cool to see.